With the Georgia Senate race giving Democrats control of the Senate and Congress officially certifying the electors for Joe Biden, making it official that we will have President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, Biden-Harris administration. We are, I would say, in the last gasp of the Republic right now. Got a couple more days for the inauguration day, and we're going full speed towards socialism, basically. And so that's where we're headed in the next, hopefully, maybe 4 years. Hopefully, it'll be that, and who knows? I mean, we're going to have a full speed endorsement of abortion, meaning more babies dying, higher taxes, suppressing free speech left and right, or just the right. It's going to be all over the place. I'm saying just on the right. Left is going to continue with the, having to say and do whatever they want, like, Black Lives Matter and Antifa and whatever. But, conservatives going to, the speech is going to be suppressed even more because you're going to have the backing of the government now, along with big tech like Google and Facebook and Twitter. I mean, President had his Twitter account suspended recently. I mean, it ain't the first time, but you just know as soon as inauguration day passed, they're going to just permanently ban President Trump from these platforms. So, so you have that. Gun rights is going to be infringed upon. They're going to be every day. They're going to try to find some way to implement more gun control. Illegal immigration is going to run amok. You're going to have a government basically run on emotions. Laws based on critical race theory, which has nothing to do with equality or reconciliation, just a tool of retribution and hate, and being able and policies based on 5 million genders going to be endorsed, and plus other issues I know people tend to not find important because they don't care to get involved because they're too busy watching TV or whatever. Like ending the filibuster, adding Washington D.C. and Puerto Rico as states, essentially giving Democrats more seats in the House and Senate, getting rid of electoral college and so on and so on. But you know what? Hey, as long as you're getting your free stuff, right? As long as you're getting that, and as long as the president seems civil and nice, and not like, he's not like that mean old Trump, I swear, you people sound like a bunch of entitled, spoiled brats with that argument. But anyway, we got a new open, kind of in the spirit of what's ahead with this Biden-Harris administration. So from now on, this will be our new intro, and welcome to Trend Chat.
From the highways of America, here's the podcast where we talk politics, a little entertainment, some culture, and this and that, from the road to your ears. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
All right. And welcome to Trend Chat. I'm your host, Brian Bledsoe. And if you want to connect with us on Instagram, Twitter, it's at Brian L. Bledsoe. On Facebook, it's at Trend Chat 24/7. So yeah, like I said, this will be our new big, our new open, as you say. I just felt it was appropriate to make a new one because it definitely, the tone is definitely different, and it will be over the next only 4 years, and hopefully there'll be a change in the next 2 years. So, but anyway, that's a ways away from now. So as I mentioned, obviously I mentioned about the electors being certified by Congress. So actually, Republicans objected to Pennsylvania and Arizona's electoral count, but it was defeated quite handily. You had, I think, in the Senate, I can't remember the numbers, but it was a large margin in the Senate, especially. It was like 93-7 or 90, yeah, 93-7, I think. Yeah, it was 6 or 7 that objected. That was it in the Senate. And in the House, it was a couple hundred, but still it wasn't nearly enough to do anything, which that's not surprising either. But obviously that kind of got overshadowed mainly with one, it happened early Thursday morning because of what happened at the Capitol earlier that day, where you had some people, I guess, make their way into the chambers of the House, and there was some people, like you said, was kind of storming the Capitol in a way. And unfortunately, you had one person, a woman, was shot in the neck, and she actually died hours later. And that's a tragic for that to happen. But it's also, I mean, if you're going to do something like that, that is, unfortunately, that, if you go in trying to do something like that and police or someone shoot you, I mean, just it's not any different anywhere else. And so, it's unfortunate that she died, and unfortunate to be in that position. But like I said, that slowed everything down as far as the count and all that, because when that happened, all the members, evacuated and all of that. And you had, it was about a couple of hours or more than that until they got back into session, and then, with enhanced security and all of that. But, it was, in watching social media, there definitely was hypocrisy on both sides on this. So you've had Black Lives Matter and Antifa out here just, causing destruction across the country and all of that. And you had so many people, especially, in the media, liberals on social media and all, either being silent or just outright endorsing that violence, or having it to where trying to make excuses for them and saying like, well, they're just expressing themselves or whatever like that. But when this happened, all of a sudden they're outraged about this in particular, where there wasn't even anything near the scope that they've been doing in the past couple of months. But now all of a sudden they just tighten up and just been clutching their pearls and everything, meaning, especially coming from media, they make it seem like, oh, this is just such a disgrace and all that, and yet was remaining quiet, or just like so, or just outright endorsing Black Lives Matter and Antifa when they were doing their violence. And on the other hand, people, especially more on conservatism like myself, who were condemning that violence from Black Lives Matter and Antifa, but then you see some of them actually cheering this on. So, for myself, look, I don't care if it was Black Lives Matter and Antifa, in the past couple of months, or this right here. If you are breaking the law or something like this, okay, for everyone that was caught and will get caught, they should be punished to the full extent of the law. Here's the funny thing about that, with the Black Lives Matter and Antifa, with all of them, a lot of them skated free. Either they maybe got arrested, but then they was set free. A good portion of them, at least. Something tells me that's not going to happen in this case. These attorneys general are going to throw the book at these people if they can, as much as they can. But like I say, if it were Black Lives Matter, they'd be looking the other way. So, but that's the bias, especially in government, and it's not going to get any better with the Biden-Harris administration. And also the coverage of it. Like I said, the media covered Black Lives Matter like it was mostly peaceful protests. Meanwhile, burning down buildings and looting businesses and all of that. But this right here, this is considered a full out threat. Now they want to call people domestic terrorists. They didn't want to say that about Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all them when they were doing much more damage compared to what happened yesterday. But again, that goes with the bias and also with the in the media that people just tend to not want to acknowledge or want to just go along with it because they agree with how they're covering things. But as of right now, I know a lot of people are saying like this is like the people who were in the Capitol were Trump supporters or Antifa and all that, or a combination of a mix of both or whatever like that. Honestly, we really don't know. I know everyone is showing a whole bunch of social media posts about this person, that rally, and that person here, and making a bunch of connections. It's still up in the air as far as saying like who exactly is it, because it could be a number of things, factors that went into it. Now, I said before, as far as even, I think this was like right before election day, where there's a possibility of violence from Trump supporters. I'm not going to actually be naive to say that no one out of the millions of people that someone is not going to do something. That just doesn't. It doesn't. It's too many people for at least a few people to do something stupid. Now, in saying that, whatever violence that would have happened, and if you want to count this in particular as far as the violence here, because that still doesn't compare to what the organized violence that you have coming from the left. Like I said, with Black Lives Matter and Antifa and other groups like that, and what they would do across the country, burning down whole, buildings and all that. So, in comparison, unfortunately, this comparison would never be talked about in the media because media just want to focus on, on right-wing, violence. That's all they want to focus on. Anything from the left, that's just peaceful protesting, regardless of how violent it is. But if, like I said, anyone from the right do anything, it is magnified, exaggerated 10 times more than whatever, whatever happens on the left, which is minimized as much as possible, regardless of what happens. Like I said, they could be burning down buildings, they could be robbing and looting people, and all of that, and it will be minimized because they agree with their politics and they are using them for political power. So, but also another thing about whatever happened, whatever with the people that were storming the Capitol. One thing, for one, it's really too late for all this. For one, that's a whole nother reason that, even if this coming from Trump supporters, for one, it's too little too late. And I'm saying that because if you're talking about election integrity and voter fraud and all the stuff that was going on, that's the reason. That's the main reason a lot of people were there on the 6th, there for the march and all of that. But I will say all of those issues could have been addressed for years across the country in different states or wherever. But it was never a big enough priority until it's too late, like now, until it came around to where, now you want to address these issues after the fact, when I'm pretty sure there were bills, there were proposals across the country to try to shore up election integrity, but yet probably a lot of Republicans either just didn't find it a much of a priority to really, push forward or to even do anything about it, and just like, oh well, we don't need to do that, that's too controversial, whatever like that. And now you have this to happen, and so yeah, you've had, I'm pretty sure across the country there have been a number of chances to actually do something, but they just refuse to, and I would say some on purpose, intentionally don't want to change things because they want to take advantage of whatever underhanded ways to undermine an election themselves, as well, or just some just didn't care enough and they was too busy with other things, to, even though if you don't really have election integrity, none of this other stuff is going to matter because you're not going to win anyway. But maybe this will actually get people to, because if you look back at, I would say probably at least in Texas, if you look back as far as legislative priorities and what do you find important? Election integrity was not at the top of those polls normally. I think that'll change this year if they do that again, and at least in Texas. But I mean, we've had across social media and media in general, just like I said, this outrage, and you hearing it from me right now, I'm not going to be nearly as like this outrage like everyone else want to be. I mean, mainly people are using the outrage so they can try to demean Trump supporters and all that, and whatever, because like I said, there's been far more violence going on in the past 6 months than this. Here you are, you had this huge crowd of people, and you had a couple people stormed a couple people go into the Capitol out of probably maybe thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, maybe a million people there, and you had a few people go into the Capitol. Meanwhile, like I said, we go back to Black Lives Matter and Antifa, they was having marches across the country, and like I said, fires all over the place and buildings are burning. So forgive me if I'm not going to be as outraged about that. Now, I mean, now, you also have people on social media and on in interviews and whatever saying like, if they were black, there would be more bloodshed, whatever like that. Again, I mean, we've seen over the past couple of months and just last year where if they were black, they would just let them burn the city down. We saw that already. So you could just go somewhere with that, because that's not a valid argument, because you just seen that. That's not true. They would just let them do whatever they want, obviously. So, but again, like I said, we did have one person die out of it, and that was, I think you also had some other people have other medical emergencies, other stuff that happened around it. But yeah, so, that's, it was, I remember, I'm hearing about it. I'm thinking it'll probably be one of those things that you always remember, like, oh, I remember when that happened. And, then you had Joe Biden come out and have a statement or whatever about what happened. And, his statement kind of rings hollow, again, because with the whole thing with Black Lives Matter and Antifa the past couple, last year, they was all like trying to be understanding about their feelings, and like, well, we shouldn't, try to, like I said, making all these excuses for them and everything. But now all of a sudden you want to come out forceful and like, oh, we got to condemn all violence and all that, and that all of a sudden now. But just like, like everyone else in the media as well, where they're just like everyone now, they now they want to condemn all violence, and there is there should be nothing like this going on, because because they're not our people, because like I said, if it was Black Lives Matter, then they'll be like, oh, okay, well, they need to express themselves, and if it gets violent, well, that's the white man's fault. So, and other nonsense like that. Now, as conservatives, Republicans, and regardless about, let's talk about voter fraud and stuff and all that, and the election, and like I said, now it's official, and we're moving toward the Biden-Harris administration and all of that. Regardless of all that, I think we need to stop fooling ourselves about what a good majority of people want. I know a lot of people want to make it seem like, well, Biden didn't win, or that people don't really want all of these socialistic policies and all of this, and that it's not that many people, it's just because they're cheating and all of that. Okay, for one, you're fooling yourself. And we need to stop that, and just deal with the reality. There are a great number of people who want this crap. And just deal with it, and just try to move forward from there, and because I think we're deluding ourselves and thinking that, oh, well, it's just happening because they're cheating. No, there's a lot of people that want this. They actually want it because, for one, they don't want any personal responsibility, and they want to be ruled like peasants, and they don't want to do anything for themselves. There's a lot of people like that, and it shows. And we're not just talking about the election, just in culture in general, just in how a lot of things are going. There are a lot of people that just don't want to do anything for themselves and want the government to do something for them. And as long as the government keeps giving them free whatever, they'll go along with it. So I think it's time to just deal with that fact, and try to, maybe in the next 2 years, I would say, because we'll get to the midterms, maybe, in these 2 years coming up, they would maybe push too far to the point of where some people actually will maybe realize a little bit at least, and maybe maybe there'll be some change in the Senate. I mean, it's not going to take much. It's 50-50, so it's not like it's going to be a lot. You just need one or two, actually, but to flip it right back. But still, that's 2 years, and they can do a lot of damage in 2 years. I mean, look, you did a lot of damage in 8 years of Obama. I mean, we are back again at that fundamental transformation that Obama and Democrats and the socialists, communists, and all of them want. That the fundamental transformation of America, where it's basically nothing about personal responsibility, and government is basically your God, your daddy, and does everything for you and take care of all these lazy, weak people. And there are, like I said, there are a lot of people that will go right along with it because they feel entitled, because they've been told not only by politicians but by media as well that you're entitled to this and that. You don't need to you shouldn't have to work. You should be just given a universal basic income, and should just basically live the life of Wally and just sit back in your lazy boy and just get fed. And that's it. A lot, because I think about that movie a lot, because I mean, we're basically going down that direction, just sitting back and just doing nothing. I mean, you have them do it. I mean, sure, they have control of every aspect of your life, so sure, then long as I'm fed, I don't care. I mean, that's how the weak people talk. So, but anyway, so I guess we'll get into a number of other things. I guess also, go into 2022, because it's not only it'll be midterms, but it will also have in Texas, it will be the Texas governor's race, which is something. I don't know. Did I mention about this last time? I think maybe I did. I don't know. Anyway, if I didn't, I just mention it again. So we'll get to that after a word from Young Americans Against Socialism.
Hey guys, this is Morgan Zegers, the founder and CEO of Young Americans Against Socialism. We are a nonprofit organization working to preserve a free, fair, and prosperous America for generations to come, all by equipping our generation with the truth about socialism. If you're interested in watching our educational videos, donating to the cause, joining the Ask Coalition, or becoming a contributor, you can do all of these things at fightsocialism.org. We hope you'll join us in this crucial fight for the future of our great country. Thanks!
Hey everybody, it is Chad Prather, host of the Chad Prather Show. You are listening to Trend Chat with my man, Brian Bledsoe. Come on with it.
We here at Trend Chat, we are proud to be part of the 1776 militia. Check out 1776united.com. They have a wide array of clothing, hats, shirts, art, and more that is fiercely patriotic and stylish to match. Go to 1776united.com, and if you put in the code TRENDCHAT, you get 20% off your first purchase. Again, 1776united.com, put in the code TRENDCHAT for 20% off.
All right, so as I mentioned, as far as the Texas governor's race coming up, that was Chad Prather, and who is still planning to run for governor. And so, as we enter 2022, we're going to have, I will say, a contentious governor's race, and in the primary in particular, because I'm pretty sure it's not going to be just a runaway primary for Governor Abbott. You're going to have, and it's not going to be just Chad. I'm pretty sure there's others already that have announced their candidacy as well, and it's going to come down to also with what Abbott has done with the lockdowns and everything has really brought out people to wanting to go, run against him in the primary. And whether it's, because with the shutdown the first time, and then after receiving the backlash, and then he didn't want to do it again, I would say not because of principle, just because he didn't want to, because he saw the backlash and didn't want that to stick with him. And also, it's been rumored, I guess, that he is considering running for president, which, with what he was doing with these lockdowns, I would say what may hurt his chances, but there's a lot of people who are pro lockdown and all of that. So, if he's trying to appeal to the other side of it, who knows? But anyway, there's going to be a number of candidates that's going to be running in that primary, and I would not be surprised Governor Abbott get some help from Democrats to not only win the primary and also when it depends on who Democrats going to run against them, but you're going to have I was thinking about as far as the primary, I don't know, probably be 5 or 6 people that might turn out running against them. And I can't say, because look, for one, for people that, if you don't know, I don't know if I mentioned this, I think I have, but so like I went out to the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, basically, down to help block walk for Governor Abbott. I mean, and all of that was years ago. And I'll tell you right now, I don't plan on doing that again for Governor Abbott. So yeah, we'll see as far as that that race and like I said, also what happens as far as midterms and with the Senate as well. And speaking of Texas, it's been under a month since the last episode with Rick Green. But since that time, also there was an article written about yours truly in Texas Scorecard. And the name of the article is, it's kind of embarrassing to say it, but it's called Brian Bledsoe, A Voice of Truth, which, okay, it's flattering. But in reading the article, it was a really good article. It was, they interviewed me about a month before that article came out, and, had a good conversation, in that interview and in the article. I really enjoyed, and I appreciate, them interviewing me and posting the article. I'll put the link in the description, if you want to check it out. But as we enter the next in these couple of years here, with everything that just happened, like I said, with the whole thing with everyone at the march, and also everything else that's been going on since the election, you basically have been seeing, especially in the past 24 hours now, after because you had Vice President Pence, who he decided to not. He said he didn't have the power to, as far as overturning the electoral votes and all of that, and so that sparked a lot of profanity towards Mike Pence for that. And then as the night went on and everything else kept going on, and then you also had some that said they were going to object and then decided not to and switch and all of that. So with all that been going on, I've been hearing there's people talking about basically just starting another party, going third party or whatever like that. And I feel like at this point it is grown to a point more than ever in recent history, at least. I don't know how long that will stay, how long people will be upset and want to go that direction, or maybe they just need time to kind of cool off or whatever, who knows. But I think I would not be surprised we'll see some sort of fracturing amongst the conservatives, Republicans, and all of that, where like we need to start another party, and it's not like it's just going to just splits right in the middle and go into two. They're going to fracture off in a number of areas. You gotta have people that probably be more towards libertarians and go that direction, or maybe some like I was saying, like this Patriot Party, they'll kind of like be a Trump party and go that direction, and some would just stay in the Republican Party in particular, and you have others that just won't even get involved anymore at all because they're just frustrated to the point of just like what does it matter. And so all of that put together, all that means is just Democrats will continue to keep winning because all that fracturing would just go off, and then you will have Democrats winning every time because they're unified on their side. I mean, you may have some that are more radical than others, but at least at the end, they all stick together to vote for Democrats, and for the most part, to a large degree at least. So that's all that's going to mean. And look, with what's been going on with the Republican Party over the past, not just in the past 4 years, in the past decades, like just in general, this is not surprising. I mean, I would say President Trump was at least trying more than most as far as in the sense of doing something as far as conservative principles and whatnot, as opposed to kind of paying a bunch of lip service. At least he did more than others that claimed to be conservatives that was in the in the White House in the past 30 years. So but here we are. And again, here we are going towards a Biden-Harris administration, and like I said, here we are. So like it's full speed going towards socialism, in the sense, and it's going to just going to be policy and law after law that's going to be proposed in the House and the Senate that's going to just seize more and more control and just strip more and more of our freedoms away, and they'll be cheered by the media, and all the other people who are too afraid to do anything will just sit back and just say, oh, well, it's not going to be that bad, and then whatever. And the unfortunate part about trying to point out all this impeding socialism with Biden, Harris, and all that is that it's not going to be immediate. I mean, even back, talking about the Obama administration. And, we as conservatives talk about it, and we're talking about something that, that most people won't realize for years later on. And so when you talk about the horrific effects of Democrat policies and then there's no drastic, horrible change, then we kind of look like we're talking nonsense. But the policies are like a narcotic. I mean, you get that crack high free stuff, taking what you didn't earn for a short time, and then you crash and addicted, but except in this case, that happens in a couple of hours. When we're talking about these policies, this happens over a course of years, it's like a decade. So you have it to where right now, okay, they'll propose all these policies, and then things are going to happen, and it's going to feel good. People are going to get a whole bunch of free stuff. It's going to feel great. Like I said, but that's going to happen over the course of years. It's going to just feel good. Like, oh, this ain't as bad. You conservatives are crazy. This is great. And then it's all going to come crash down at the end. and the thing about it, when it crashes down, it's not going to be it's not going to be their fault. It's going to be our fault. Just because we're like that. We're like the person that's trying to get you off drugs, and the media and Democrats are those enabling friends at the party saying, oh, you just being a party pooper. You don't want them to have any fun. And get out of here with that talk of fiscal responsibility and personal accountability. We just trying to have fun. We're just trying to enjoy all our free stuff, Meanwhile, Democrats like drug dealers in the corner in DC push you to come back for more. I mean, and Democrats already have gotten millions of people even more susceptible to being dependent on government with their COVID lockdowns the past year or so, and even right now that are going on. And you got so many unemployed because they decimated businesses by having these lockdowns, and now you got all these millions of more people who are just desperate, and they're going to take advantage of them as well, to where they become more dependent on government because when we already had like the $600 checks that went out and all of that, and Congress spent like billions of dollars sending money to overseas and everywhere else, and then and also gave $600 to everyone and all of that, and now they're looking to send another $2,000 and all that. When how about you just open the country up as opposed to keep just trying to bribe everyone? But unfortunately, because for the people that are still afraid of a virus, it has a 99.7 survival rate, and wanting to just living in their house and all of that, that's fine. And so they're just going to just take their whatever spare change that they get from the government and be happy because they, again, people just want the government to take care of them and don't want to take any personal responsibility as far as accessing the risk and living your own life and moving forward. Like I said, especially when talking about COVID, because we've had far deadlier viruses and we didn't do anything to this degree, but for some reason this is considered okay. But yeah, so I guess I'll talk about that next because I ain't not gonna do a review of 2020, but I guess it's as far as just a couple of things when it comes to 2020. And I know for the most part, most people are happy that 2020 is over because it was. I'm thinking it would maybe go down as the worst year in history for a lot of people, at least. But I would say, I had. Like I said, it's been a couple of weeks since then, and like I said, that was 2020. So I guess we'll talk about a couple of things there when it comes to 2020 after a word from Expressions.
This is Lacey Williams, the founder and president of Expressions Magazine, letting you know that you can order our quarterly magazine and support female conservatives by visiting express-conservatism.com, or you can follow us on social media. On Instagram with the username of expressions_conservemag, or on Twitter with the handle of @express_conserve. Get your copy today.
This is Dana Lash, and you're listening to Trend Chat.
Trend Chat is proud to be a part of the hashtag Life Tribe or Cultural Life as they seek to celebrate life through the world of fashion. Go to COL1972.com and get 10% off your purchase when you enter the code Trend Chat.
All right, so I would say personally 2020 was okay. So in saying that, it's probably some people probably like, and I could just say that for me because as a truck driver, nothing really changed. I think when the lockdowns and all that happened, like we were the only ones on the road, so I've been very blessed and fortunate to maintain the job, even to the point to where it was even busy. At some point, at one point it was really busy. But the one thing in particular, as I mentioned already before, is that it just the devastation of small businesses across the country where, I would see that on the road where I was driving by in places that I drove through plenty of times before, and then seeing a lot of these places got for sale signs and places are empty, and just see it across the country, wherever I'm driving to, and just all these, small businesses are gone now. And, because of all the lockdowns and everything. And that's sad. Just when I'm driving by and I see that, that's just sad because that's a number of people that are affected just in looking at that one business, right? The business owner themselves, the employees, and all that, all of them out of a job, that person out of a business, and that's happening all over the nation. And that's on top of that. And then, I guess one thing in particular that I miss in particular is just the ability to go to the movies. Even though in Texas you can go to like AMC and Cinemark. So, but like you just can't. So like if I was in New Mexico recently, like all the movie theaters are still closed there. But yeah. I'm as far as 2020 goes, it was okay. Just like I say, with everything that's been going on now, at this point, I think I probably mentioned this before, is that if we're still having the lockdowns and all that going on, and people are just like, well, whether it's mask mandates and all that, at this point we're just kind of doing it to ourselves now, especially now that you have the vaccine and all that. So now just kind of a matter of time, and I just feel like at this point all these officials in state, local, and now in federal government especially now are going to take advantage of all this power that people have just handed over to them as far as their new COVID powers, I will say. And they're going to use that to inflict and restrict as much as possible. And regardless of what happens, and like I said, people lose their job, they'll just spend more money and just give you a check. That's basically that's going to be their solution, especially Biden and Harris. Oh, well, you ain't got no money, we'll just spend some more money, to the point I'm probably just reprint money and just continue losing its value. And it's like I said, all of this is not going to happen overnight. It's just going to gradually happen, and then once it all falls down, and then people that voted for all this, they're not going to blame themselves. No, they're going to blame all those Republicans for what they done all years before. No, not because you couldn't do nothing for yourself, but and decide to vote for a government just to take care of you, as opposed to doing it for yourself. But anyway, I've said that too many times already. So anyway, I guess we've had a month away, so I guess we might well make sure we get the there we go. Might well shout out these locations, because over the past month, so we have, start with the cities. Start with Miami, Florida, Little Elm, Texas, Lincoln, Nebraska, Cedar Park, Texas, Lucknow, India is back on the list, and Kolkata, India, and Kokomo, Mississippi, Kokomo, Mississippi, Greer, South Carolina, Dallas, Texas, and Cheyenne, Wyoming. Okay, and so as far as the countries go, over the past month, we got Finland, France, United Kingdom, Russia, Mexico, Costa Rica, Germany, India, and the United States at the top. But India is back on the list. I don't know, for a second there, they were gone. I was like, what happened to all the Indian listeners? I was waiting, I was wondering what happened. I guess they're back, and I appreciate everyone listening across the globe and across the country. So yep, it's been as y'all heard in our the opening, is even though I did this new open and all of that, just to kind of reflect the incoming administration and the country as a whole. Even though I did that, it's just going to be, I guess it'll just be a couple more episodes that you'll be hearing that, because we're still moving towards getting to 200. And so this is episode 193. So, and probably looking to have a few more guests before we get to 200, before we get to the end. And still, so yeah. So again, I appreciate everyone listening. And I guess, for one, I'll probably just end it with the new with the new open. And in this case, it's going to be the closing, but this will be the only time I'll do it because it's just new. That's all. So until next time, we'll chat with you later.
From the highways of America, here's the podcast where we talk politics, a little entertainment, some culture, and this and that from the road to your ears. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.